Now, Senator Ted Cruz, welcome to the Trey Ware Show, and neither of us are real betting men, but I think we ought to put lunch at Mitiata on the table here. Spurs versus Rockets. You being a Houston boy, me being a San Antonio boy. Don't you think it's on? It ought to be lunch at Mitiata, don't you think?
Trey, you're on. I'm glad to take that wager. Congratulations on the game last night. You guys played beautifully. I have to admit, I liked Game 1 a lot better.
Yes,
than Game
I bet
2.
you did.
But you know what? It's a heck of a series. We're actually blessed in that both teams are terrific teams, and they have a lot of class. And they play the game beautifully.
Yeah, they did, and you're right. You got one, we got one. Now let's move on and see what happens tomorrow night, shall we? And yes, and we'll do Mitiata, and it's on me if Rockets win. If Spurs win, it's on you. Fair enough?
Well, and it's nice seeing two of the MVP candidates go at it head to head.
Yes, sir, it is. You're absolutely right.
It's Kawhi Leonard was just knocked it out last night. It was really strong, and Game 1, it seemed like James Harden couldn't miss. It was beautiful to watch.
Well, and it's going to come down to those two just going nose to nose at each other. So I'm definitely excited about it. I'm excited to have you back.
Although I'll say last night you had echoes of San Antonio teams past between Tony Parker and Ginobili. Both were playing terrific.
I'm very concerned about Tony, though. The MRI is happening today, so we'll see what happens.
Is there a report on his leg, and is he and the condition of it?
No, we don't have one yet. He's going to have the MRI this morning, and then we'll know by early afternoon what the deal is. Manu said it looks like he's going to be gone for a while, though, from what he could tell. So, yeah.
Well, our prayers will be with him. He's a heck of a ball player.
Thank you, sir. So let's dive into some of the stuff going on in D.C. Are you as frustrated as I am about what we're seeing with with the spending measure and with health care and all that stuff?
Well, on the spending side, it's just unfortunate. I mean, they have cut a deal that largely gave the Democrats everything they wanted. There's a reason Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi are celebrating, because the spending measure funds everything they want and funds virtually none of the priorities that we were elected to fund. So this bill funds sanctuary cities, it funds Planned Parenthood, it funds Obamacare. I think that was unfortunate, and it's a real missed opportunity.
And I think that people are getting tired of hearing "we'll get them next time," which was essentially what was said. Hey, man, we'll get them in September, boy. Well,
that after a while, we start to feel like Charlie Brown with Lucy on the football. Yeah. We're always promised next time you can kick it, and I just run right on up here. And, the voters are savvier than that. They get what's going on.
Yeah. So today they're going to take a vote on a repeal and replace of Obamacare, and then you guys are going to get it. What happens with this thing?
Well, I'm encouraged on Obamacare.
Okay.
The House has been working diligently, and it looks like they've reached an agreement, so it appears that the votes are there to pass it out of the House today. And I think that's a positive thing. What we've seen between when it was first introduced and now is the Freedom Caucus, the strong conservatives in the House, have been pressing really hard to improve this bill and to make it better. And what they've been focusing on, quite rightly, is that we've got to lower health insurance premiums. That's going to be the test of success or failure. Mm-hmm. Do premiums go up or do they go down? Mm-hmm. If we can lower premiums, it's a victory. The first bill that was drafted didn't do nearly a good enough job of lowering premiums, and so the Freedom Caucus members pressed very, very hard, and they made significant progress in that regard. If it passes today and comes over to the Senate, then it's going to be incumbent on us to work to make it even better. And getting it out of the Senate is not going to be easy. Republicans have a very narrow 52-vote majority. Mm-hmm. Every Democrat is a no, so we start off with 48 no's. And with a 52-vote majority, it means we can lose at most 2 Republicans. 3 Republicans go no, and the bill goes down. And so that means we've got to have a bill that can bring together and command a majority, at least 50 of those 52. Now, what I've been doing, Trey, for over a month now is that I assembled a group of senators, Republicans, across the ideological spectrum. and we have been meeting weekly, sitting down and trying to come to common ground, trying to come together and say, okay, where do we all agree on how we repeal Obamacare and fix the underlying problem? What are consensus ideas? And then when there are disagreements, how can we reach a resolution that satisfies the core objectives of each? And so we've got, as part of the group, it's the full ideological spectrum. We have people who are conservatives. We have people who are much more moderate. And we're sitting down. We're now meeting twice a week to try to work through and come to agreement. It frankly is the process I think the House of Representatives should have started with.
It's brilliant.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to do it in the Senate, and I hope we can get it done. My view is failure is not an option.
Right.
We've been promising the voters we'd repeal Obamacare for 7 years, and I think if we fail to deliver on that, I think the consequences would be catastrophic.
Well, the next question is, should the filibuster go away in order to get it done?
Well, the filibuster is actually not a problem blocking Obamacare repeal, and the reason is we are using a process known as budget reconciliation, which is the most potent tool to get around the filibuster. Budget reconciliation is a process that's set out in the Budget Act of 1974, and it's the process for adopting a budget. But what is critically important is, by statute, it can't be filibustered, and so it only takes 51 votes to pass, not 60. And so the filibuster isn't our problem. It's just our problem is the substantive problem of agreeing on legislation that can bring together 50 out of 52 Republicans when you've got very, very different policy views in different states and different constituencies. And I think we can get it done because I think people want to get to yes. But it's going to take a little bit of time, and it's going to be very complicated. It's going to take a lot of people working in good faith to accomplish the task. Okay,
I know we're about out of time, but I want to ask a couple more things here. Did your jaw hit the counter when you heard the FBI director say yesterday, as mine did, that they know that Uma Abedin was sending this classified information over to Anthony Weiner's computer so he could print it out, and I'm not going to prosecute her because she didn't know what she was doing was wrong again?
It was really just bizarre, and his answer as to why there was no prosecution is he said, well, she didn't know it was unlawful, and you may recall I had a series of questions with the FBI director, and
you did.
Anyone who's gone through the first year of law school, when you take the criminal law class, you learn one of the most basic propositions of criminal law, which is that ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's simply, you don't have to prove that, look, if you get a speeding ticket, they don't have to prove that Trey Ware knew that speeding is wrong.
Right.
If the speed was 55 and you're doing 85, they do have to prove that you knowingly went 85, that you were in the car, that you pushed the accelerator and went to 85, and if you did, that's the knowledge required, not knowledge of what the speeding laws are in the state.
That is exactly the example I give every day. I gave it again this morning. I can go out here on 35 and run 140 miles an hour, and when I get stopped, I cannot say to the officer, well, I didn't know I couldn't go that fast. No, that is not an excuse.
Right. The only knowledge that's required under the facts that the FBI director laid out is that Uma Abedin knew that it was classified materials, knew that she was sending them to someone not authorized to receive them. In this case, sending them to her husband on a non-government computer. She obviously knew both of those facts, and on its face, that's a criminal violation of the law. And it's also, what Comey laid out is also just ludicrous.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I deal with classified information every day.
Right.
When you deal with classified information, if you keep it in your office, I don't keep any in my office, but if you do, you keep it locked in a safe. You store it in a safe, and you lock the safe every night. When I receive classified briefings in the Senate, we go to what's called a SCIF, which is a secure location. It's underground. It's deep underground. You can't have any cell phones there. You can't have your Fitbit there. You take them off before you go in because there can be no electronic surveillance. And behind giant locked doors, you hear classified testimony or you review classified materials. There's strict protocols on dealing with classified information that anyone who's dealt with it understands. The idea that you would think, well, maybe I'll just forward thousands of classified documents to my husband's Gmail,
who happens to be Anthony Weiner, who shares stuff he shouldn't be sharing anyway. I mean, that's just it's unfathomable to those of us out here. Senator, I got to let you go. Go ahead,
Trey, quickly.
Sure.
Comey gave the exact same answer when I asked about the IRS and the investigation into their targeting citizens and citizen groups for their political views. It was an absolute abuse of power. And his explanation was, well, they investigated it, and they didn't know what they were doing was wrong. What nonsense.
That is nonsense.
It's the exact same standard that, apparently it's okay to abuse government power and target people for their political views.
Unbelievable. Senator Ted Cruz, as always, sir, it's an honor to have you on. I do appreciate your time. Look forward to our next visit.
Thank you, Trey. God bless.
You too.
Look forward to collecting on that on that wager.
Well, good luck on that. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Great stuff. All right, so we're going to visit with counsel.